first speaker of the opposition team, and I would like to first of all deliver my rebuttal on the goals of the government. Okay, so first of all, they say that they want to recruit police that are diverse. Well, I would like to first of all say that the police system, the police institution is already institutionally racist. Then that will make it even less likely for people of color to get into the police. And then second of all, I would like to elaborate that on my arguments. But even if we're able to vote in people of color, people who have liberal ideas, what's going to happen is that they're not going to change much. These individuals that have been in police for decades will still be racist. Other people that are new won't change the thing. The police that are already there will still be racist. And we say that the change needs to happen now. Okay, so second of all, they want to say that they have to put progressive body cameras. We don't think that the progressive body cameras will be effective. Why? Because we've seen times before in which the police still wants to kill even if the civilians are already watching. The police still want to shoot someone even if there's people watching and video recording. And this shows that the police is still fundamentally racist, that even they believe that they have more power over a normal civilian that gives them immunity to actually do these things. And we think that we think that putting near body cameras won't change anything. Even with police that has body cameras, they still commit these atrocious acts. And we think that putting body cameras is not effective nonetheless. Okay, and second of all, the government says that they want to create a body in order to regulate the police. We think that making a body in order to regulate the police is not effective. Why? Because the police have eyes and ears everywhere. They have influence that they can exert everywhere. What this means is that even if you create this body, what's going to happen is that police is going to influence the creation of the body. They're going to have a voice in it, and they're going to create a system so the body still favors them. We can even see this in US courts, in which the police still manipulates the US courts for them to have white juries over black juries in cases in which black people are disenfranchised. And then that's why we believe the police is already very, very hard. And then the government says that they think that it's much better if we do this carefully rather than quickly, because it's an election year. We want more stability. I will explain why it's much harder if we want to change the system of police rather than defunding the police. Okay, so first of all, I would like to explain why dismantling and putting different systems and changing the institution of the police is going to be very, very hard, much harder than defunding them. While defunding only requires a certain person while defunding only requires certain laws to be changed, a thorough replacement of the police system will be very, very extensive. And it will require a lot of changes that a lot of police does not like. And I will explain why the majority of the police would be against these changes. Okay, so first of all, we believe that police is institutionally racist. What do we mean by this? Like my first argument, it's very unlikely that people of color and diverse people would be accepted into police. Why is that possible? Why is that a thing? Because because the police for decades has been a tool for white supremacists to extend their power. What do I mean by this? So ever since the dawn of slavery, they have been using the police to control black people and people of minority. This can be even seen in the civil rights movement, in which the police of Florida did a massive raids against the black community after they protested against this police. We think that the police is institutionally racist at that point. You might say that, that's with them. That was pre-civil rights movement, and right now things has changed. But we believe things are the same. Why? Because these police that are in the older generation, they are in charge of picking the next recruits of the next generation of police. And we think that they are more likely to recruit people and police that share the same values as them. And this is very important, because this means that it's less likely for people of color and people with good liberal ideas to be picked. And we believe this is one of the reasons why police are very unlikely in order to in order to, it's very unlikely, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to reform the police internally. And then second of all, I would like to explain why the police is already way overfunded. Okay, we see over and over again in which police done military overalls that's supposed to be used for military. We've seen over and over again about the police wearing armored cars used in Afghanistan. We think that this is very, very expensive. Those military equipment is very, very expensive. And we think that the police, if they are willing to pay that amount of money to buy into these gigantic trucks and so on and so forth, they should have enough money to handle everything they have. That's why we think that putting even more money in the police is a very bad thing, because they're already overfunded in the first place. And then second, this will lead to my one of my arguments, my third argument, in which if we employ scarcity in the police, it's better. Why? Because a lot of times the police use excessive violence. They use guns everywhere. They use advanced weaponry that they also use in the military. We think that if we make it so, if we minimize, if we make everything out, if we lower the cost, the funding of the police, what's going to happen is that if we lower the cost of the police, it will give them less leeway in terms of what kind of violence that they might use. If we lower the budget of the police, it will be less incentivized for them to do those acts, that might land them in court, because they don't have enough money again. They don't have enough money for them to pay a good attorney or something like that. Or things like that. They'll have less money for them to buy expensive weaponry that can promote this police violence. And then that's one of the reasons. And that's one of the reasons why. And then what is our solution to this problem? A little bit. I would like to touch another argument from the government, which they say that the police there has to be a lot of police to guard people from stop being vigilantes. They want to have a lot of police in the grounds, especially in violent neighborhood areas. We think that we've already established that police is already overfunded, right? But then we think that the overfunding of the police the police overfunding will, instead of putting this much money into the police, we're going to put this money into places that actually matter, such as education, housing, and healthcare. What does it mean? Because the majority of the crime that we see in the US today is caused by poverty. People don't have enough money to do a certain thing. People do drugs because they are already unsatisfied about their lives and they do not have enough capital. It means that people are suffering because they do not have enough capital. But then, if we allocate money into places that actually count, if we allocate money in training people to actually do things much, much better, what's going to happen is that this whole situation would be decreased radically, because the people become poverty happens when the government doesn't pay attention to the people, and that's why we believe that this is a much better solution than what is provided by the government. Thank you very much.